Hi, y'all. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. Great to have you. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. If you'd like to be part of the program, backed by popular demand, well, we like him. Senator John Kennedy joins us. And by the way, you're popular on the Moon Griffon Show, and I know you're popular around the state, so we're good. Anyway, John, good to hear from you.
Al, Moon, it's great to hear from you, man.
Make you feel like you're back home.
Somebody from the real world. It makes me feel like I'm back home, man. I'm sitting here right outside a committee room. I just finished a hearing, and it's good to talk to a friend.
Well, to tell you what, it's great to have you. Let's start with this first. State of the Union, who you bringing and why, and what do you think we'll hear from President Trump tonight?
I am my guest. We each get to bring one guest. My guest is a young lady by the name of Justina Petway. She is a member of the janitorial staff on my floor in the Russell office building. Does a wonderful job for us. She's a hard worker, and I asked her if she had ever seen the State of the Union in person, and she said no, and I said, I want you to be my guest. So she is going to be my guest tonight. I hope she enjoys it.
Yeah. What do you think the president would do tonight? And I hope he talks a lot about the protecting our borders, because I still think that resonates with people who love this country.
I think he is going to talk about border security. He's going to talk about the wall. He's going to talk about an immigration policy and how we ought to redesign our immigration policy so it looks like somebody designed the thing on purpose. My guess is he's going to talk about the economy. It's doing extremely well. I know we're not doing as well in parts of Louisiana, but that's more the fault of the state government than it is national matters. This is the best economy I've seen in a long time, and it's a result of our tax cut bill. I hope he also talks about some things that we can work on together. Hopefully, if Speaker Pelosi's willing to, with the Democrats, one of them being the cost of health insurance. We've got to do something about it. The Affordable Care Act hadn't worked. We were told it was going to make health insurance cheaper and more accessible. Obamacare's done the exact opposite, and we need to fix it. I mean, it just keeps going up, and up, and I'm hoping the president will talk about that tonight, too.
Yeah, no doubt about it, John, and one of the things we're dealing with here is, the governor decides to accept Medicaid, which to me means, okay, we're going to hook as many people we can on government health care. And yet nobody cared about the cost, and we've had bad problems with it here. The press doesn't write about it a whole lot, but we've had a lot of problems with Medicaid here. A lot of thievery going on. People using it shouldn't be using it.
Well, of course, we all want people to have access to health care. The problem with the expansion of the Medicaid program in Louisiana is that the governor and the Department of Health, they don't check eligibility. I mean, the Medicaid is for people who can't afford health insurance. Mm-hmm. I've got a list in my office given to me by the legislative auditor. Governor Evers has let people on Medicaid making $300,000 a year. I'm not kidding you. I'm not making it up. I'll show you the list that the legislative auditor gave to me. They don't check marital status, and by that I mean somebody says, "Well, I only make $15,000 a year,"
okay, and
they let them go on Medicaid. Well, their husband or their wife, as the case may be, might be making $200,000 a year.
Yeah.
I mean,
wow.
There's just
wow.
That Medicaid was not supposed to be for people who are making a couple $100,000 a year, and the Department of Health has done a horrible job. I mean, it's an obscene waste of taxpayer money, and it's not fair to people who don't cheat, who really do need the health care. And he's every time you ask him about it over there, the governor says, "Well, we're going to do better. We're going to do better," but we won't let the legislative auditor come back in.
Yeah, John. The other day I read where there were a couple, one senator, Republican, and one Senate House member, are now going to take Louisiana's Medicaid system, and I'm taking it they're going to come down here. They looked at all the reports, and they basically said that there may be a lot of fraud everywhere. And I wonder if they're going to come down here and look at Louisiana. I'm just asking, I wonder if they're going to look at Louisiana and go, you know what, let's go see really what's going on. Because the feds have a right to do that if they want to. I mean, it's the money coming from them.
Well, Senator Ron Johnson from Wisconsin, whip smart, really a good guy, great senator. I didn't even know he was doing it, but he read the legislative auditor's report about all the waste of money in Louisiana's Medicaid program as a result of the Edwards administration. And he has written the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services and asked for a full-fledged investigation. Ron didn't talk to me first. I didn't even know he was going to do it. I'm delighted that he's doing it, but he's read it and said this is obscene, and he's asked CMS, as we call it, the federal agency in charge of Medicaid, to go down to Louisiana and to find out what's going on.
See,
and I hope CMS does.
John, by the way, United States Senator John Kennedy, Mr. Kennedy, the deal is they need to come here and look at it. We need some clarity in this thing, and I hope they'd do it now rather than later. And I'm glad when I saw that, and then another thing I saw, John, that bothers me, and you know, you can't blame the governor direct on this, but you can say the rest of the governors didn't do anything about it, including him. Louisiana seeking ways to lessen the $3 billion flood protection debt. Now, I don't know if something's going to be done about that. This governor calls it unfair. I don't know if it's unfair or not. We took the money. We took it when we needed it.
Well, Moon, look, I don't care who the governor is. Somebody making $300,000 a year should not be on Medicaid. And that's wrong. And it's wrong to the taxpayers who pay for it, and it's wrong to the people who really do need help with their health care. Mm-hmm. And that is just a fact. It's happened under the Edwards administration. Mm-hmm. I don't, no doubt. It's no not doubt. Personal. I've known John Bell for a long time. I consider him a friend. We just don't agree. I mean, he's a liberal Democrat. President Trump gave a speech about 3 weeks ago to the Farm Bureau in New Orleans. I was there. He talked about the need for a wall to secure our southern border. Mm-hmm. All 1,000 people, and they were from all across the country, all 1,000 plus farmers stood up and gave him a standing ovation, with one exception. There was one person who sat there, Governor Edwards.
Yeah, I'd love to see a picture. I'd love to see a picture of that, because that really is something.
They're photographs. I've seen them.
I hadn't seen them yet.
I'm not saying this is America. You can believe what you want. He has the right to believe that. I'm not saying otherwise, but he needs to explain that to the people of Louisiana. Yeah. Johnny, I mean, you either agree with the rule of law or you don't. You can't just pick and choose which laws you want to agree with.
Yep, good point. Senator John Kennedy, my special guest. John, what about, I don't know if you saw it. I'm hoping you did. If you didn't, you can refer. Cato Institute came out 2018. They rated the governors, A, B, C, D, F. And I gave Bill Edwards, they're bragging about taking a $2 billion deficit, which, by the way, was never there. That was never there. And said we turned it into surplus. I said, well, he got an A. And I went all the way down. I went to the A's and the B's and the C's, and then I went to D. I thought D for dandy. I used to make a few of those. And when I got to the F, there was 5 governors with F, and they gave him an F, and they looked at hundreds and thousands of points to come up with that basis. Then in the U.S. News and World Report, they came out, and John, we just about every one of the categories dead last and at the bottom, yet they're going around talking about all the things that are happening in the state of Louisiana. I mean, opportunity, 50th, economy, 44th, and I think we get a big gig on that one. And I just, nothing's changed under this governor, and it's frustrating for them to write about like something's changing here. It's $7 billion in new taxes, John. That's what they've raised.
Well, we're losing ground in Louisiana, Moon, and it breaks my heart to say that.
Me too.
But the problem begins at the top, and this is the bottom line. And he's believed this as long as I've known him. Governor Edwards honestly believes that he can spend the money you earn better than you can.
Mm-hmm.
He thinks that we ought to raise taxes, give all the money to him, and that he is smarter and more virtuous than the people of Louisiana, and he can tell us how it ought to be spent. And I just don't agree with that. I think people can spend the money they earn better than government can. Now, that doesn't mean that government doesn't have to have a minimum amount of money to build roads and pay the police. But John Bell thinks he can tax us into prosperity. He just thinks we're one tax increase away from prosperity, and he's wrong. He's wrong.
Yeah, it's John. I've watched it. I'm living it. It hadn't happened. It just hadn't happened, and it's such a frustrating
thing. He'll be back for more. I don't know how many billions of dollars they raise taxes. As soon as they finish doing it, then they turn around and the state's economists explain. By the way, we ran a $200 or $300 million surplus.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he raised taxes on the taxpayers in Louisiana, many of whom are underemployed or unemployed, and when the state was running a surplus.
Mm-hmm.
Either they can't count, so they didn't know whether they were running a surplus or not, or they knew about the surplus and they raised taxes anyway. And I just think that's unconscionable.
Yeah.
I noticed he hadn't bothered to give the money back.
Well, I remember when y'all gave us the Trump tax cut. Y'all voted for it. It came here. It just went right to them. There was nobody, and governor didn't lead the charge, so, people need to keep their money. And so they took $350 million in tax cuts from us. And, John, that hurts. I mean, then you throw in sales taxes. I mean, those are not good things. Not at all.
Well, it's just a different approach to government.
Mm-hmm.
And Governor Edwards, as long as I've known him, he's very liberal. He does a good job of hiding it, but he's very liberal. He believes that the only problems that we have in this old world are the problems that is the problem that governments doesn't have enough money to spend solving the problem. And I don't believe that. I mean, I think this is individuals' personal liberty. Those things are important. John Bell believes in government. I mean, I say, look, here's the biggest difference between Governor Edwards and me. I believe in more freedom. He believes in more free stuff.
Yep. And
he wants you to pay for it.
Yep.
And I'm proud of the fact that we help people less fortunate than we are in America.
Yep.
But at some point, people have to help themselves.
Yeah. John, I got to go. It's always a pleasure. We'll do it again when you got a little bit more time. Send it to John Kennedy. Thank you so much.
Sorry I'm in such a rush.
All right, man.
Bye-bye.
We'll do it again. Thank you. All right. When we get back, more info on how tied Edwards is to Virginia. The Northern Virginia governor, Brandon, raised a lot of money for Bill Edwards. We'll be right back.